Hey everyone, Richard Metalfan here, and today we talk The X Factor by Iron Maiden. But before we go into that, let's go back into 1993 and try to live life through Steve Harris's eyes. His band was falling apart around that time and stuff that was going around his personal life. For one thing, Bruce Dickinson had finally announced that he was finally going to leave Iron Maiden to pursue a full-time solo career. Now, honestly, I I was I feel like that the timing of that was kind of a little bit shitty. Between honestly, I think there was like tension between him and the band. Mostly, it was like Steve Harris and Nico McBrain. They did feel like he sort of gave a shit, especially from around 1990 to 1993 was where he really just didn't really give a shit from those periods. Um, but honestly, I feel like he should have just been kicked out sooner before then. I don't know. That's just me. And around that time, Steve Harris is going through a divorce and wow, and just some other hardships in his life. And also, Martin Birch, who had produced every album since not from Killers up until Fear of the Dark was had retired. Like last thing, like I said, last album he did with him was Fear of the Dark, but then he just retired. So honestly, I feel like for me, this is like Iron Maiden had pretty much went dark in this period. But then we go into 1994, where Iron Maiden was kind of like a period where they just were off the road. And who do we have as replacement vocalist for Iron Maiden at this time? We got none other than ex-Wolfsbane singer Blaze Bayley. I mean, a lot of people were kind of like surprised when they first heard this album because like when I first heard this album, I was like, damn, Blaze sounds different than Bruce. For one thing, he has a different range. Like his vocal range is very low. Like I don't think it would fit. Like especially if they were to play like their older shit live, like Trooper, Number the Beast. Like I've seen live footage of them playing it with Blaze. It just sounds bad. And like you could definitely tell he strains really hard by trying to sing high, but just fails badly. It just doesn't fit his range. Like I said, I feel like a lot of these album themes are just so dark. Like, and even the production seems a bit dark. Like it also seems a little bit quieter in the mix. Like you can definitely hear that. Um, and just like the album artworks are different. It feels like it's just a real life Eddie in a way. And also, if you see the album, this right here, it's just wow. It almost feels like they just instead of it being a drawing, it's a real life thing. But yeah, this is pretty much Iron Maiden at their darkest. And it's still kind of like around the time when Iron Maiden in the 90s went uphill, but this isn't nearly as bad as the Bruce stuff that happened at that time. But yeah, without further ado, let's dive into this album track by track. Heck, now the album opens up with Sign of the Cross, which is pretty much the epic of the album. It's 11 minutes long, and it pretty much has everything that needs to be considered a real Maiden classic. And I actually like this song. It has a great song structure, fantastic melodies, more than usual opulence, as well designed rhythmic changes, stimulating pictures that are created by fantastic lyrics, dramatic sequences, and unforgettable chorus, and expect sort of vocals. And I really like sort of like a little bit of a choir and almost a little bit of like orchestrated parts in there. I think it's a pretty good opener. Lord of the Flies, which doesn't possess like the extraordinary touch, but they can rely on good guitar lines, catchy choruses, and in this case, the latter on an energetic, speedy rhythm. Man on the Edge, which is, in my opinion, the only song from the X Factor which is truly fast from start to finish and proves that speedy material suits Iron Maiden the best, which I honestly, like, in my opinion, I feel like this should have opened the album. That's just my little gripe about it. Fortunes of War, which is unbelievably underrated. A 7-minute relic where Blaze goes through with every emotive state there is. It's somewhat repetitive in the chorus, but Steve makes it one of the career's best deliveries, and the lead guitar, melancholic foreboding, is amongst the best I've ever heard. Yeah, can't even speak today. Look for the Truth. I didn't really care for that one at all. The Aftermath, which has like a soft guitar intro with that lasts a few bars before transitioning into a groovy beat, and the lyrics are another one of Maiden's war tunes, and Blaze's vocals fit sort of like the dark mood the tone of the song. Yeah. And just like it's easily like the second half like outweighs like the first half, especially like in the end where the ending gets near the song shifts tempo just a bit and has the best lines of the song or the best vocal delivery. And right then the song explodes into an up tempo with one of Yannick Gur's best solos and meaty drumming from Nico. Judgment of Heaven, which is that's kind of like a worse, one of the worst songs. It's just meh. I didn't really care for that. Blood on the World's Hand, which is one of the only tracks you'll hear Steve perform a bass solo before the dark tone of the song is set, with Blaze angrily sings how messed up the world is, but not just a typical "the world's a horrible place" tune. The lyrics spare no detail of everyday life, and here. The Edge of Darkness, which comes around the whole slow and quiet intro into a heavier song thing has been done enough for the song to be unnecessary. If it were to be played at some random or on something, it would sure be interesting, but at this point in the album it has to follow the same format often better. 2 a.m., which features the same formula with some ridiculous lyrics about coming home from work late and being bored with TV or something, just with beer. I don't know. Next song on here, and the last song on the album, is called The Unbeliever, which would have been praised if Bruce had sung it, which is written by of course Steve Harris and Yannick Gers. It closes the X Factor and reminds me a bit of like Steve and Yannick songs to come, like Dream of Mirrors from of course Brave New World, which I will talk about later. And I've heard it also has Blaze Bailey writing some lyrics, but anyway, The Unbeliever would have fit better to closer. It's like the middle of the album. In fact, one of the big flaws on the X Factor's makes is like the song placement. I feel like I said before, I feel like Man on the Edge should have opened. Instead, the opener would have been a choice of a closing song. But it's Maiden's most theatrical song and one of theirs. Now, overall, X Factor by Iron Maiden is sort of like the darkest point in Iron Maiden's career, around 95 or so. So if I were to give this album a score, I'm going to give this probably a 6 out of 10. It's definitely, they're slowly starting to get better, but yeah, but who knows, in the 2 albums on they would get better, but we'll get to that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all in the next video, and as always, keep it metal.